Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back. It's Friday, December 20th, and we are going to be going over the Q post from yesterday. And I think I missed a couple from the day before, so we're going to get completely caught up with the Q post. Q has not posted for today, so once we cover these, we will be completely up to date. And then I'll see from there that this will take an entire video to go through these posts, and then we'll see from there if I still have energy and a voice. I might do some news because even though it's the holidays, there's a lot of news happening. Now, I do just want to touch on this, and so if you are here mainly for Q and don't, you're not a regular listener, then just skip ahead a couple minutes. But I just wanted to update you. We did get my mother home today from the hospital, which is amazing. She is doing phenomenally well, but she still needs a lot of help. She's going to have home care coming in and also physiotherapy and so forth. So she's got a lot of work ahead of her, but she's doing well. And it's going to be far easier than me because even though both my mother and my stepfather have just had surgery, I won't have to be driving, 2 hours there and 2 hours back every day. So, but I will be, taking them meals and so forth, but they only live 10 minutes away. So it's much easier for me. So thank you guys, those of you that have prayed and so forth. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank a couple people here, coffee donors, Sharon A. and BB from Cincinnati. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it? BB from Cincinnati. Thank you so much. And I got a wonderful letter and donation from Val M. from Texas. And yes, Val, if I ever make it your way, I'd love to have coffee with you. And anyway, let's just jump into Q now. And I'm going to do this, and then we'll take it from there as to whether I'll do a separate news video or not tonight. It just depends. And please, in advance, forgive my cats because I've been gone all day and they are just a little bit stir crazy. So hopefully they will leave us alone and we will be able to get through this. All right, now this is the first one. And again, I said I missed a couple from the 18th of December. Then we're going to jump to the 19th and cover those. And Q has not posted today, so that will be, Xander wrecking things. But yeah, that will be, that will catch us up. And so let's go. All right, this is drop 3724 from the 18th of December, and it says, it must be done right. It must be done according to the rule of law. It must carry weight. It must be proven in the court of law. There can be no mistakes. Good things sometimes take time. Attempts to block the inevitable, justice will fail. Democrats' election interference 2016. Clinton, Hussein, illegal, FISA. Democrats' election interference 2018, and we know that happened. We know that there was, we know that there was interference in the election in 2018. We know that there was cheating, and we know that that happened in 2016 as well. In fact, the election was supposed to be rigged in favor of Hillary Clinton, but, well, you have to be pretty bad when you can't win a rigged election. That has to be really, really bad. All right, and so, and then it says Mueller, Democrats' election interference 2020. Well, that's already happening, isn't it? This whole impeachment scam. They're already trying to interfere with 2020 by putting forth the narrative that they want the American public to believe. But, of course, we know differently. Impeachment, we know that that is just another way to interfere. Projection, everything that they are accusing Trump of, they themselves are guilty of. He is not guilty. Nothing, there has been no proof at all given, none. So he is not guilty, but they are accusing him of what they themselves are doing. These people are sick. We, the people, are the cure. Yes, I would agree with that. And the next drop is again from the 18th of December, 3725, locked and loaded. And it says, "We, the people, are the cure." And Q has just quoted what he dropped above. And I should have got a fisherman's friend lozenge before I started. Okay, so he's dropped this that he just dropped above, and he's put this in the next post for us to refer to. And beneath that, he has written, "fired/forced FBI, fired/forced DOJ, state, Senate, Congress, CIA, DOD, fired, forced DOD, Supreme Court, Federal Judiciary, DOJ, CIA, locked and loaded Q." I am going to pause this for a second and get a lozenge so that I do not have to come back and re-record everything that I've done so far, but I don't want to be coughing through this because it's irritating for everyone, including me. So let me pause this and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Did you miss me? All right, let's go back now and pick up from where we left off. All right, so he's talking about all these people that have been either fired or forced to leave from the FBI, DOJ, state, Senate, Congress, CIA, DOD, Supreme Court, Federal Judiciary, Department of Justice, CIA, and Q says locked and loaded. Now, if it weren't the case that they were cleaning house, we wouldn't have such a huge list of resignations. Not just resignations, but also people that have been forced to fire. Now, what I'm going to do for you is take you out here so that you can get an idea for yourself. We're going to the Q Research Board, and we're going to the resignations. And this is something you can go to as well. It is Q Research, QRESER.ch/resignations. All right, so look at this. Recent resignations. I mean, it is unbelievable. Rosemary Collier, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, Dakota County Community Services, Kelly Harder, Juan Perez, Miami-Dade Police Department. I mean, this just goes all the way down and it covers everyone, really. And it says the top 5 resignations by organization. And I think that this is very, very interesting. Number 1, the White House. Number 2, UKIP. I'm not sure what that stands for, actually. UKIP. United, I'm not sure. Government of Great Britain, 34. There's been 58 from the White House. USA Gymnastics, 31. And Tesla, 28. Top resignations by country: 1, USA, UK, Canada, Australia, China. And this goes through the people, and these are the top 5 resignations by reason: resigned, retired, fired, dead, and term ended. Well, the term ended, remember, we know that those that didn't seek another term, at least in the U.S., they didn't seek another term because they had come to an agreement with POTUS. So, but the ones that are dead, well, I don't know how to count those, but so we know that there's been currently there are 11,093 resignations on the resignation list. Yeah. So if you want to go through this at any time, you can. It's there. And it's very interesting, actually. So let's go back now. We know that things are happening. We know that they're cleaning house. And they have to clean house because if what was to happen, if what is about to happen happened a year or 2 years ago, it wouldn't have gone anyplace because there was too many corrupt people in power. It would have been covered up. It would have been shoved aside. it would not have been dealt with. So this is good news that they're cleaning house beforehand, because you can't, if there's a dirty DOJ, how can you bring these indictments? So yeah, a lot of house cleaning happening right now. Barr, this is drop 3726. We are on the 19th of December, yesterday, and it says Barr on the broad scope of Durham's investigation. Now, Durham, he's bringing the pain. Durham's bringing the pain. I can tell you that right now. So let's go to these two links that Q has provided and see what he has to say, or what he wants us to see. This is the first.
Do you believe that Durham's investigation is broader scoped in terms of the intelligence agencies that are being looked at?
Oh, yes. He's not just looking at the FBI. He's looking at other agencies and also private and departments and also private actors. And so it's a much broader investigation. And also he's not just looking at the FISA aspect of it. He is looking at all the conduct, both before and after the election.
So that is the first clip. And let's go to the second clip.
He said, I was 7 steps removed from what was going on. The director doesn't get involved in these kinds of things, the actual investigation. Do you believe that?
No. I think that one of the problems with what happened was precisely that they pulled the investigation up to the executive floors, and it was run and bird-dogged by a very small group of very high-level officials. And the idea that this was 7 layers below him is simply not true.
So that's interesting as well, because that's what Comey is claiming. He's saying, oh, it was 7 layers below me, I didn't have anything to do with it. Well, unfortunately, even if that was true, which it isn't, but if it was, you're still responsible. I used to manage restaurants. I've been in management in a lot of different areas, and I was always responsible for those underneath me. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how far removed it was. Ultimately, the buck stopped here. And that's the way, if Comey is the head, the buck stops there. So he needs to know what's going on 7 layers beneath him. Even if that was true, that's not an excuse. So, and of course, it isn't true, as Barr himself states here. So let's go back and go on. Now, this is drop 3727 and statistical evidence of POTUS and Q coordination. Q proof. I don't think we ever get tired of Q proof, at least Q proofs. I don't. Excuse me. In the new year, I am going to see the doctor about this cough, because it's been ongoing and it annoys me, and I know it's got to annoy you guys. So I am going to see about it. Those of you that have been concerned and said, you really need to see somebody about that. Yeah, I think I do. All right. So this is posted by an anon on, yesterday. And it says, Trump and QAnon have posted on a 0 delta. Let that sink in. And it says, mathematically impossible. Yeah, they've done that several times. Trump and Q post with a 0 delta, like at the exact same time. So they both read at the exact time, or like a 1 minute delta or whatever. They post very quickly in succession, like a lot of times. It's happened too many times. It's mathematically impossible. And then it says, what about when verifying new trip regarding D communications, i.e. calling our shot? Standard deviation broken? Greatest statistical anomaly witnessed, or it's either the greatest statistical anomaly or Q is real and POTUS and Q communicate. There's no in between. Because, it's mathematically impossible. So, yeah. And he's talking about this. Here is an example here. This is a minus 1 minute delta. So this is Q. This is when he was verifying the trip code, as he mentioned above. He's verifying this trip code, and this is when the new board started up. This is on 1202, and he said trip config Q. And then beneath it, it says trip identification delta -1. And then you've got this by President Trump. And this is, excuse me, or maybe it's this one. Yeah, here's 9:55:59, and this is 9:56. So it's less than a minute of a delta between Trump posting, the Republican Party has never been so united. This impeachment scam is just a continuation of the 3-year witch hunt, but it is only bringing us even closer together. And so Q was on there verifying this new trip code, and he said trip identification delta -1. Now, if this was a LARP, a live action role playing game, and this was just some whoever it might be, playing a game, then how could they control the posts of Donald J. Trump, who, Q said here, delta -1, so he was telling us there's going to be a delta in -1 minute, and there was. So how does he do that? That must be some feat that he can control the POTUS. Well, of course, because at times they're the same person, and they're most definitely in communication. So, yeah. And let's come down here, because this is Q's post as well, 13:07:32, and Donald Trump posts at 1:07, which is the exact same time. 13:07 is 1:07 p.m. When Lisa Page, the lover of Peter Strzok, talks about being crushed and how innocent she is, ask her to read Peter's insurance policy text to her, just in case Hillary loses. Also, why were the lover's text messages scrubbed after he left Mueller? Where are they, Lisa? So this is a 0 delta as well. So there was 2 Q proofs when he was verifying this trip code. And Q is bringing that to our attention to let us know that, yes, indeed, there are lots of proofs out there. I mean, you and I, who have been following this for a very long time, at least some of you have been with me from the start, or at least with the Q movement from the start, and have been following all this, and we have seen so many proofs come and go that, I mean, now it's kind of old hat. It's like, okay, well, we don't need the proof now. We know. But for new people coming on board, and there's always new people coming on board, they're unsure. So things like this, solidifies it in their mind that, yeah, this is real. Whoever Q is, he is in contact with POTUS, and POTUS is fully aware of what is happening. So let's go on. All right. Now, we are at drop 3728, and again, this is from yesterday. Shock the world. And this is by an Anon, and he writes, thanks for standing watch with us for a little while on this emotional night. We are with you, and POTUS, please pass that on to him. And Q responds by saying, friend, patriot, hold your head up high. POTUS was not harmed in any way today other than on paper. History books. Sometimes you must sacrifice yourself for the greater good. I will gladly take all these slings and arrows for you, POTUS. And that is exactly what he said. That is a quote. But even that can be undone. The enormity of what is coming will shock the world. Pray. Q. So this was after the impeachment, and, Q was on the board, and this patriot said, thanks for standing watch with us on this emotional night, because everyone was a little bit bummed out, but not really, because we know that it doesn't hold any weight, this impeachment. She's not even sending the articles to the Senate, which isn't that quid pro quo? I mean, she's accusing Donald Trump of quid pro quo when he didn't do it. But she's doing the exact same thing because she's saying, well, unless I can guarantee a fair trial in the Senate, I'm withholding these articles of impeachment. First of all, she can't do that. And second of all, that's not her job. Once it's out of her hands, out of the Congress's hands, and from the House to the Senate, that's it. Her job's over. So, yeah, I would call that quid pro quo. Gosh. All right. So, and he is saying, that sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And that's exactly what Trump has done. He's taking all this, and imagine being accused of all these things, knowing you have done nothing wrong. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is an angel. I'm sure that he has done things that are wrong, like we all have. But in the things in which he's been accused, he is innocent. So, and I think we do need to pray, because I think that when they're saying it will shock the world, I think it will shock the world. And it has to be pretty enormous for it to shock the entire world. Not just the US, not just North America, not just the Americas, the whole world. Now, something has to be pretty monstrous to shock the entire world. So we'll see what's coming. Okay, and the next one is drop 3729, and again from yesterday. And Q says back channels are important. Back channels are important. Know your history and you'll know why. Now, let's come down here, because I just, down here, I have clipped out the dictionary definition of back channel. I'm sure we all know what it means, but it's a secondary or covert route for the passage of information. For example, POTUS talks to us in a back channel called 8kun, or 8chan, 4chan, where it all started out. And so that is a back channel. It's an unofficial or a covert route or for the passage of information. So, and let's come up here, because this is from drop 9668, back channels, strategy rooted in presidential history. What is happening in New Delhi? Voice calls, internet suspended in some places. Okay, that's not. But down here from drop 7557519, back channel, this protected forum of regular diplomacy, but with more intimacy and without the bureaucracy, has many advantages. And why did Q choose 8chan, 4chan? 8kun? Why did he choose that? Because it's not censored, number one, and he knew that if he tried to communicate any other way, it would be censored. The message would be controlled. This way, Q is in control of the message. It's not censored. And with everything that's happening in the mainstream media, do you think that they would print anything from Q? Not a chance. Not a chance. So that is why Q had to speak to us this way. This is how it had to be done. And I understand that now. I didn't at first. It seemed rather strange, but now it makes perfect sense. And down here, it says, this is pretty good. It's Q Research, New Zealand, my theory. So let's assume that Q team isn't bragging, and they do indeed see all, hear all, and have their own spies placed everywhere. This would mean that Q knew what was about to go down in New Zealand and let it happen. Why? PM Arden, along with former Prime Ministers English and Key, were all involved with the collection and dissemination of back-channel Five Eye intel to the cabal for the purpose of overthrowing President Trump and quite possibly for one or more of the assassination attempts too. And it's interesting because they asked this question, and I have asked this very same question, if not to you guys, then most certainly to myself. I have asked why, if they know these things are going to happen, why can't they stop them? I don't have the answer to that. Maybe it's just vague, chatter, and they don't know absolute specifics. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I wish I did, because it does bother me to some extent. Why couldn't some of these things be stopped? But there you have it. So back channels are important. That is the message there. And this is drop 3730. Anon rocks out to QAnon endorsed song. And let's go to this. Well, actually, I thought I had it here. Well, isn't this interesting? I thought that I had this. I'm going to have to go back out to Q and get that link for you. Let me see here. Q. Sorry, guys. Now, what drop is that? Back channels are important. Oh, here it is. Now, I don't know what the song is, so I may not be able to play it because I don't know about copyrights. So, and they are getting sticky with that. But let's see this. It says, Mishel QAnon dancing to a Q endorsed song. Long full version is here, but I'm leaving this link, and of course I am uploading this to Patreon afterwards, the notes from that I use, so you'll be able to access that. But let's see here what this is.
People trying to put down America. America's the greatest land on earth, and we ought to be proud of what we have. I'm proud of America. I'm proud of our people, and I'm going to prove it. We're American and damn proud of it. Frankly, I'm getting a little ticked off. Go to hell.
Okay. Now, I'm going to stop. I would love to play this in its entirety. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but I'm not sure about the music. And YouTube is getting so sticky. Last time, they wouldn't let me, they wouldn't even show my video because it had like this much of copyrighted music in it. And I'm not, monetized, so I'm really not sure what the issue is. A lot of times they will say, well, because you played copyrighted music, you've got to share that with the copyright owner, or they'll make it so that it's not monetized for that particular video. But my channel is demonetized because of the subject matter. So I'm really not sure what the issue is, but for you guys to be able to see the rest of this video, I think I better stop there, and the link will be in the notes. Absolutely. All right. And let's get this over here. So I will put this down here for your perusal, and we will go to the next, and it is drop 3731, incoherent puppet Nancy Pelosi just following orders. And of course, she is incoherent. Really. I'm not sure what's wrong with her, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure if it's drunk, if it's dementia, what it is, but there is something wrong with her. And this is a link, and then it says puppet following orders. And of course, we know that's all Pelosi is. She is told what to say, when to say it. All right.
Have said of looking like you're playing games with impeachment.
Hang on here, I'm going to start this over.
Republicans have said of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long.
I said what I was going to say. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. Not on this.
Now, I'm going to just back it up again. Okay, I'm sorry. But I want you to really pay attention to her the slurring, the everything.
Do you run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long?
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, the whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers and that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say.
That's
Not
quite
only
evident.
said it, I said this is it. I honored Nancy.
Do you run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like...
First thing that strikes me about this is she impeaches, well, he's not impeached until he's impeached in the Senate, of course, but they vote yes to impeach. And then she's not even taking questions, like, excuse me? And, she's fumbling all over herself, and, she's got the power color on red with the little eagle that looks very much like the Nazi eagle, if you ask me. Not that you did, but I'm just saying. So, yeah, she is, and Q is reminding us here, she's just a puppet. She's just playing her role. She's just doing what they tell her to do. She is like, and I'm sorry that I'm putting it this way, but she's like a bag of skin. And they put their breath in her. They put their hand up her hinder parts to make her talk. She's just a skin bag. And that's it for them, for the deep state, for the cabal. They're not her thoughts. They're not her words, really. It's her, slurring the words and slipping over them and whatever. But the rest, no, not so much. So let's go back now. I think we're all aware that Nancy Pelosi is a puppet. And she's just following orders as per Q. Now, let's come down to the next one. And this is drop 3732, POTUS. Q+, and remember, we know this now for a fact that when it refers to Q+, that is POTUS, retweets another QAnon follower decoder. So this again is from yesterday, and Q reposted this from IET, and it's incarcerated ET. Trump has not been impeached. The House can't impeach. They can only vote for impeachment. Then the Senate trial or Supreme Court trial. Both have to vote to impeach Trump before he is actually removed from office, which will not happen. And of course, we know that. And I find it very humorous that right after they voted to impeach Trump, there were people saying, oh, so Pence is the president now, right? Like, they really believed that Trump was no longer president. They were cheering, yay, Trump's gone. I think they all need to take a civics class. I mean, seriously. Or pick up the book, American Politics for Dummies, really, because everyone should know this. This is something that everyone really should know. Like, come on, guys. But there are. In fact, they were out there, they're interviewing people, and they think that, oh yeah, Trump's impeached. Yeah. But Pence is vice president, or Pence is president now. And some people thought that made Hillary Clinton president. No clue. Not a clue. All right. All right. And then he tweets this by Lauren Law, 88. Truth is always based on facts. Obama knew everything and participated in election interference for decades, started in Chicago as community organizer. And then beneath this, Ann E. Patriot, this is what we need more of. Good job. If we do not fight for our country, we will lose it. Where we go one, we go all. No Nads Nadler needs to shut the hell up. We the people will not stand by in silence. And that is true. And it says Anons love these shout outs from Q plus and Q. They're amazing. And that was another Anon saying that, hey, we love these shout outs by Q and Q plus. And right beneath, Q is responding and saying directly after A plus. So there's Q plus and Q. Sometimes after a long day, one needs a little pick-me-up. And of course, what would pick up anons more than seeing a post by Q plus, knowing that that is President Trump himself? He's just been impeached, but what's he concerned about? Encouraging the anons. That's what he's concerned about. That speaks very highly of him, if you ask me. So let's come down here to the next drop, and it is 3733. Fifth Pentagon official announces resignation. It's happening. So we've got this, and it was by an anon, and he clipped this out from a tweet from The Hill. It says, fifth Pentagon official announces resignation in a week. That's a lot. In the Pentagon in a week, 5, that's a lot. So Q comes down here. He leaves the link to it. And Q is being sarcastic here. He's saying nothing is happening, Q. Because everybody gives Q a hard time, says nothing's happening. They always say this and this and that, nothing happens. Oh, I'm so sick of it. When are we going to see arrests? When are these people going to Gitmo? I'm so sick of it. Nothing's happening. Well, yeah, things are happening. 5 people resigned in 1 week. Do you think that they just resigned for the heck of it? Do you think they just woke up one morning and said, you know what? I think today's a good day to resign. No, I doubt that. Let's go here to the link. We're not going to read all of this, but let me close some of these down because there's zillions of them
Pentagon's
open.
top official in charge of personnel and readiness resigned from his post on Friday after a little over a year on the job, making him the second top official this week to say they would step down. Quote, today I accepted the resignation of Jimmy Stewart, who has been performing the duties of the Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, Defense Secretary Mark Esper said in a statement. The defense chief did not give a reason as to why Stewart was leaving.
All right. And let's come down here. The Defense Department's senior advisor for international cooperation earlier this week left the Pentagon, making the 5th top official in 7 days to leave or announce their departure. Ambassador Tina Kadenow, a longtime State Department official who began working in her Pentagon role in September 2018, resigned on December 16th, the Pentagon confirmed. Defense News first reported her departure. We appreciate her service to the department and wish her continued success. The department remains committed to the development and implementation of international cooperative programs and defense exportability efforts to foster cooperation with U.S. allies on research, development, production, and support of weapons systems and related equipment, Department of Defense DoD spokesman said in a statement. The department will not provide anything further on this personnel matter, the spokesman added. Now, usually when they say that, it's not just, I think I just woke up today and I think I'm going to leave. No, it's a personnel matter. So there you go. Michael Vaccaro, the Director for International Armaments Cooperation, will serve as the acting senior advisor. Kadenow's resignation follows 4 other announced departures within a week. Those include the December 12th notification that top Asia policy official Randall Shriver would leave after 2 years on the job, the December 13th announcement that top official in charge of personnel and readiness Jimmy Stewart had resigned after taking the role in October 2018, the Tuesday report that Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency leader Stephen Walker will leave in January, and the news earlier Wednesday that Principal Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence Carrie Biggan submitted her resignation on December 5th and will leave January 10th. So we don't need to know any more than that, I don't think. So, yeah, lots happening at the Pentagon. 5 people in a week. It's a lot. Okay, now let's go back. See what else Q has to say. And this says title to be determined. And again, this is Q from 19th of December. And Q is repeating what he had said further on up. And he is putting back channels are important. Know your history and you will know why. Q. And this is an anon that's re-quoting this from Q. And then he says, makes me think of this, sum of all fears. There are more good people in the world than there are bad. I hope that's true. And Q responds to this down below and says also, think white squall regarding Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK. Do communications only go to anons? Bigger than you can imagine. Expand your thinking. Q. And of course, communications do not just go to anons. The whole world is watching this board. The whole world. Not every single person in the world, but I think every single country on the planet is represented. So, yeah, it is much bigger than we think. And, you know, we know that Q is real. And I think they know that Q is real. So they're watching to see what he says as well. Now, this from De Oppresso Liber, or SunQ2 on Twitter, rather. Q asks if back channels are only for anons. Think Cuban Missile Crisis and JFK. He established a back channel with the Cubans to avoid nuclear war. Q is saying POTUS and U.S. military has back channels opened with our enemies, probably Iran, similar to North Korea. Big. Recall that through Q posts on the board, Q has often called out shills and spoke specifically to the CIA and Mossad. Q told Mossad to stand down and then gave a stringer command and said media assets would be removed. So, yeah, there's a lot of people watching this board, a lot, and Q calls them out from time to time, as we've seen. And this, again, is, we're on to drop 3735. And again, the title is To Be Determined. And Q says, also think white squall. This is just, Q is just quoting this again. Also think white squall regarding Cuban Missile Crisis. And white squall was the movie where they said, where we go one, we go all. Remember that? That is where that's taken from, the movie White Squall. And also it was inscribed, I think, on the bell of JFK's yacht or something. And it says, do communications go only to anon or only go to anons? Bigger than you can imagine. Expand your thinking. Q. And it says, correction, squall. See, he spelled squall wrong up here. Correction, squall, on the move. Q. So he's saying, okay, because, you know, he always says, pay attention to spelling, pay attention to grammar, all that stuff. Everything's important. So he knew that it was important to correct that, or we'd start wondering, I wonder why he spelled that wrong. Wonder why he left out an L. So he came back and he said, correction, it was just a typo. He's on the move, so he was doing it quickly. Q. And we're going to come down here to the next, and this, I believe, is a duplicate post, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, nope, it's not a duplicate post. So this title is To Be Determined, and here is Q, quoting Q again, correction, squall, on the move, Q, and it says, correction number 2, you're on the move, long night, Q. So again, he makes another correction because, again, he doesn't want us to read anything more into it. So generally, if he makes an error and it's a typo, Q usually comes back and corrects that because we've been told to pay attention to those things. So we'd be like racking our brains thinking, he's misspelled your and he misspelled squall. I wonder why. So now we don't have to wonder. And this is the next one. And it's titled To Be Determined, and it's drop 3737. And the link goes to Chuck Grassley's Twitter page, and I've clipped that out for us. Why is the Democrat House now getting cold feet about moving ahead with impeachment trial? They want to hijack Senate process and muck up Senate SCOTUS schedule. You need some consideration about SCOTUS since Chief Justice presides in Senate. Republicans, are they worried their articles are too weak to move forward? Well, they are too weak to move forward, absolutely. But do I think that that's why they're holding them up? I don't know. I think it's more a power and control thing. And I think that they know that they're not going anywhere. So if she withholds it, then it becomes invalid anyway, and the whole thing was for naught, which really, it's never going to go through the Senate anyway. The Senate's never going to impeach him. They're not, because he hasn't done anything wrong. And I don't even think the articles of impeachment those are not high crimes and misdemeanors. Impeachment is for high crimes and misdemeanors. But they haven't really found him guilty of anything. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And if I wasn't living through it, I wouldn't believe it. Somebody told me 20 years ago, oh, this is going to happen. And I'd go, right, yeah. All right, now we are on drop 3738. NSA Director Admiral Rogers disclosed FISA abuse days after Carter Page warrant was issued. This from Q, and he leaves a link to the Epic Times, which we're going to go out and read. And Q is telling us it's important to read and understand. Something big is coming. So let's go out here because Q is telling us it's important to read it and to understand it. So, on March 9th, 2016, Department of Justice oversight personnel learned that the FBI had been employing outside contractors who had access to raw Section 702 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, data and retained that access after their work for the FBI was completed. This information was disclosed in a 99-page FISA court ruling on April 26, 2017 that was declassified by Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates. That wasn't an isolated incident, and the improper access granted to outside contractors seems to have been the result of deliberate decision-making. The FISA court noted the FBI apparent disregard of minimization rules and questioned whether the FBI may be engaging in similar disclosure of raw Section 702 information that has not been reported. Section 702 permits the government to target foreign persons located outside the United States, for surveillance with the purpose of acquiring foreign intelligence information. Oversight of Section 702 collection is conducted by the FISA court. For more on Title III and Section 702, see here. On the same day of the discovery of the FBI's use of private contractors, FBI lawyer Lisa Page sent a text to FBI agent Peter Strzok, need to try to fix a huge who F-up. Page quickly corrected her typo by saying WFO, an abbreviation for the FBI's field office. Page would later send another text on the same day noting, need to go meet with Andy again now. Andy was then Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, and she had an affair with him as well, just for good measure, I guess. Following the discovery that outside contractors for the FBI were accessing raw FISA data, then National Security Agency NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers directed the NSA's Office of Compliance to conduct a fundamental baseline review of compliance associated with 702 at some point in the early April 2016. Senate testimony on page 83 to 84 of court ruling. Rogers served concurrently as director of the NSA, commander of the U.S. Cyber Command and Central Security Service chief from April 2014 to May 2018. Rogers previously was the director for intelligence for both the Joint Chiefs of Staff and U.S. Pacific Command, and as commander of the U.S. Fleet Cyber Command and the U.S. 10th Fleet. Rogers played a major role in uncovering ongoing FISA abuses, and his efforts are revealed in the April 26, 2017 FISA court ruling. Significant changes to the handling of raw Section 702 FISA data resulted from the FISA court's findings. On April 18, 2016, Rogers moved aggressively in response to the disclosures. He abruptly shut down all FBI outside contractor access. At this point, both the FBI and the DOJ's National Security Division became aware of Rogers' compliance review. They may have known earlier, but they were certainly aware after outside contractor access was halted. Despite a continuous daily stream of messages between Strzok and Page, no text from the specific day that Rogers halted contractor access to the NSA database have been made public. On the following day, April 19, 2016, Page sent a text that ended with, "and still in with Andy." The version available is heavily redacted. Strzok responded, "Hi, going to try and catch Bill." This text refers to Bill Presap, head of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division. Later, Page responded again, "Still in with Andy." The DOJ's NSD maintains oversight of the intelligence agencies' use of Section 702 authority. The NSD and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, jointly conduct reviews of the intelligence agency's Section 702 activities every 60 days. The NSD, with notice to the ODNI, is required to report any incidents of agency noncompliance or misconduct to the FISA court. Instead of issuing individual court orders, Section 702 requires the Attorney General and the Director of National Intelligence, DNI, which would have been Dan Coates, to provide the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC, with annual certifications that specify categories of foreign intelligence information the government is authorized to acquire pursuant to Section 702. The Attorney General and the DNI must also certify that intelligence community agencies will follow targeting procedures and minimization procedures, like minimizing the risk, that are approved by the FISA court as part of the certification. On September 26, 2016, NSD head John Carlin filed the government's proposal 2016 Section 702 certifications. Carlin knew the general status of Rogers' compliance review. The NSD was part of the review. In his filing, Carlin failed to disclose a January 7, 2016 Inspector General report that was highly critical of agency controls for monitoring query compliance. Carlin also failed to disclose the FBI's use of private contractors and Rogers' ongoing compliance review. On September 27, 2016, the day after he filed the annual certifications, Carlin announced his resignation, which would become effective on October 15, 2016. On October 4, 2016, a standard follow-up court hearing was held with Carlin present. Again, he made no disclosure of FISA abuse or other related issues. This lack of disclosure would be noted by the court later in April 2017 ruling. The government's failure to disclose those IG and OCO reviews as the October 4th, 2016 hearing was ascribed to an institutional lack of candor. On October 15, 2016, Carlin formally left the NSD. Well, good. On October 20th, 2016, Rogers was briefed by the NSA compliance officer on findings from the 702 NSA compliance audit. The audit has uncovered a large number of issues, including numerous about query violations. Rogers shut down all about queries activity on October 21st, 2016. About queries are particularly worrisome since they occur when the target is neither the sender nor the recipient of the collected communication, but the target's query, such as an email address, is being passed between two other communicants. On the same day, the DOJ and FBI sought and received a Title I FISA warrant on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. At this point, the FISA court was still unaware of the Section 702 violations. Sometime between October 21st and October 24th, 2016, Rogers reported his findings to the DOJ. From there, he presented his findings to the FISA court. Admiral Mike Rogers, I was briefed on something. This is long. Actually, this is very long. I wonder if I should read. Yeah, I'm going to read. I'm going to leave the link. And actually, I'm going to put the link. I'm going to put this link as the first link, pinned link in the comments, so that you will be able to go out and look at this for yourself, just in case you are not able to find it on Patreon. I'll put it there for you, because it's a long, and I don't want to continue reading it because some people are probably going like, say what? But let's go back and summarize this now. Where are we here? Where we are. Okay. Now, so, this is from Dio Presso Liber. Something big is about to drop. The article posted by Q is important to read and grasp. Epic Times from 2018, NSA Admiral Mike Rogers discloses FISA abuses days after Carter Page FISA warrant was issued. Note the timeline of the emails between Page and Strzok. Now, this indeed is a duplicate drop, and I know that. How do I know that, you say? Because right here it says duplicate drop. This is drop 3739, and it's a duplicate, so we don't need to hit on that. But we are done with the Q post. We are up to date. As of today, we are up to date with the Q posts, and so that is it. Now, it's 10:30, and I don't know. I may come back and do some news articles, and I may not. And I hope you understand this has been an exhausting week for me with my mother and everything. But I'm back on track as of tomorrow. So I will be posting tomorrow and Sunday, and I probably will not be posting Christmas Day, but I will be posting every day up until Christmas Day. So there you have it. Now, if I come back and you see another video by me, it'll be like, surprise. But if not, that will be it for tonight. And thank you guys so much for your support, for your encouragement, for your prayers. You guys are the best. You regularly bring me to tears. And I just want you to know, yes, I'm a sap. I am a sap. I fully understand that. But I have met some of the nicest people you would ever want to meet doing this show. I really have. And it's all been worth it. So there you go, guys. You guys have a great night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because you and I both know that deception bites.